Breaker, this is Striker Star 19 here with a mission debrief on my mission to see Space Jam 2, A New Legacy, and I'm joined by my buddy Martin, my fellow animate, who you may remember from my mission debrief on HBO's The Witches. And if you like our dynamic in this, we reviewed the first Space Jam film on our second channel, The Animates, which is linked in the description. And you can check out our thoughts on that before or after you hear our thoughts on this. It's a movie. I think it's a little weird. Starting to think this one's a little weird, guys.
I'm happy to be here again to talk about another questionable reboot of the last year.
This is starting to think Space Jam is just a little bit strange, a little bit out there, yes. Just a hunch.
This particularly, is it weirder than the original Space Jam, though?
I think it absolutely is.
I think in parts it is, and in parts it is much more grounded, weirdly.
Yeah, interesting. I guess we'll just have to get on into it, because my kind of baseline feelings on this one is that I thought like everything involving like live action involving LeBron and his son, and I hate to say even Don Cheadle was pretty insipid, but I really liked the actual Looney Tunes stuff.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much the same. I like that this film, like we talked about this in our original Space Jam review, but like the moral, if you will, of the original film, like I think I said, was stay in your lane, Michael Jordan, and please stick to basketball. And it doesn't have much of an arc for anybody apart from Wayne Knight. This film, to its credit, I think does have an arc for several characters, like mostly LeBron James and his son. But I think Bugs Bunny actually gets kind of a story arc in this one. Even Don Cheadle kind of gets one. Even LeBron James's wife seems to get some sort of development. I was impressed by, like, they made an attempt to make this some sort of meaningful story, even if it's one you've seen plenty of times. It's basically, it's the movie Hook combined with the original Space Jam. That's how I would describe the plot.
Kind of is, now that you mention it. Yeah. I guess like my beef with, like, I found a lot of the, like you were saying, it's the father-son stuff has kind of been done before, and I found it just like weirdly the way they handle some of the subjects of like corporate synergy and the algorithm is really cutesy in a way I find almost kind of dystopian. I get because like it reminded me a lot of Ralph Breaks the Internet, which I think is a much worse movie than this. I think is actually like the worst Disney movie there ever was. But
I haven't actually seen it.
You don't have to.
Oh, good.
No one should. I feel like Werner Herzog with the Grizzly Man audio. Nobody should see this.
Wonderful.
But like Disney was very like, oh, we have all these properties, cover your ears, it's all cutesy. Whereas like Space Jam seems self-aware of how reliant we are on computerized feedback and IP. But I don't know if that necessarily makes it better how much they're exploiting it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know what, like there's something interesting to be done there, but I feel like almost like they were trying to make a point about like the algorithm and the way we consume media now, but someone like intervened and went, drop the message, we're just going to put as many characters in there as we possibly can,
right.
Delete this subplot. Because like after the first 10 minutes or so, it's entirely irrelevant to the rest of the film.
Mm-hmm. It's really bizarre. There's this common narrative too that LeBron is like so much of a better actor than Michael Jordan, and I don't really know about that. I thought like he's trying harder. I don't know if that makes him better.
I think he's slightly better, but not by a massive amount.
Right.
I think he's okay. Weirdly, I thought he was a much better actor when he was a cartoon.
Totally.
I think that's just the way, because they animate his face so dynamically.
Yeah.
the
Personally,
vocal
LeBron looks
performance really
great.
worked. Yeah.
It's a cute caricature.
Yeah. I was disappointed he didn't change into CG LeBron later on. He just changed back into his normal self.
Oh gosh. Yeah, the animation is all pretty. I'll give it that on the subject. And
Should
that's
we
oh
should we
sorry.
explain what the plot of the film is?
Yeah, I guess we'll go step by step.
Can you explain it to me? Because I
Yeah.
was I became slightly lost because there's 30 good minutes of exposition before we actually meet Bugs Bunny in this film.
Oh
And a
yeah,
lot of that is
entirely.
Don Cheadle in a green screen void
Ugh,
talking to a floating robot and
dude,
just just I don't know.
I
He says a
I
lot of stuff, but none of it went into my brain.
I love Don Cheadle. I can't help but feel that his talents are kind of deserved by being on a green screen. He can't really endow anything with because it seemed like he was like really phoning it in. It was like Jim Carrey Robotnik villain at like 65%.
That was funny you should say that because I saw his outfit at the start and I was like, that's Dr. Robotnik's outfit from the new Sonic film. And I suddenly thought to myself, like, Jim Carrey would have been a lot better in this role.
I could see that.
Because Don Cheadle, like, John Cheadle is a really good actor. Um, but he's very low key, like in most of his roles. And in
Mhm.
this, he's also very low key. And I feel like you needed a villain to stand against the Looney Tunes, who was themselves like a big, larger than life character, but kind of a sinister one. And he's sinister, but he's just kind of he's very mellow and like I think there's one point in the film where he loses his temper and it's with a small child.
Right.
And he's not particularly menacing. He's kind of creepy. Like
I think
he's the villain for a film that would probably be quite good, but not for this one, I don't think.
I think how you doctor his performance and his character is make him uh more neutral on the moral binary that like he's a computer doing the purpose of creating appealing IP and crossovers and forcing all the Looney Tunes to be in a random basketball game with a bunch of nonsense. But and like don't assign him so much personality so the like mellowness of Don Cheadle can come through, but he's like just doing his function. I think that's kind of how you fix that character.
I genuinely thought he was going to be like a Judge Doom type figure.
Mm,
Because he was very serious and everyone else wasn't. And I was convinced that at the end he would be revealed to be like a cartoon character or something, which didn't really happen. He changes into sort of a CG type monstrosity,
yeah.
which they don't go too far with. Um, I did like when he gets defeated at the end of the film. He did give me like possibly my only laugh of the film when he was just like, "This is not how I wanted to go out." When he's just like trapped in a small poster, um, which is a strange way to kill off your main villain.
Yeah.
Because I assume he's dead. They don't mention him after that.
He gets ripped
Um,
up. So, you know,
yeah, how does that? How does it work? How is he defeated in that sense? It's pretty unclear.
well,
Um,
you see, I guess I don't if in the video game LeBron's son makes the beginning, getting postered is like that happens to like one of his video game characters, and that's a way of losing. So
oh, I remember that. Yes.
yeah, so presumably that happens to him, and this vanquishes him.
I see. That was too much of a callback for me. That was 2 hours ago. I
I
can't be
know.
expected to remember
I don't
this.
disagree.
That
See, I
was
think
very early on.
a better way to kill him off, I feel the way to fix the ending too is because they hinge a lot on this backstep move that activates a glitch and deletes the character who uses it. It happens to a character LeBron's son, Dom, that's his name. I'm not going to say LeBron's son or Naruto's dad 50 times. Dom makes like a character that's very precious to him, I think, based on himself. But the backstep move deletes him, and that's kind of a big emotional linchpin. And what happens towards the end of this movie is that LeBron says he's going to do the move and just to free everybody because that's the stakes of the the basketball game. But Bugs Bunny does it instead. I think what should have happened was Dom tricks Algae Rhythm into doing the move and getting deleted. I think that would have made a lot more sense, actually.
Oh, yes, it would.
And then you
And it
don't
would have
have
shown that he was paying attention to his son at the start of the game,
exactly. And
start of the film.
yeah, and then you don't have the really weird ending where Bugs like really dramatically dies. Like they really want you to like feel it happening and then just doesn't.
They wanted their Tony Stark moment, didn't they? And
Yeah.
then they went for it. I mean, to their credit, it's kind of a nice, it's a fairly affecting moment, I think. Even though I didn't think for a moment that Bugs Bunny was dead,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is handled reasonably well.
I agree. I feel like there was some kind of like better like a reference you could pull. Like kind of like how do you know the short What's Opera Doc where Bugs dies at the end but wakes up and looks into the camera and says, "What do you expect? It's an opera." And the screen
Oh
just
yeah.
closes.
Yeah.
I was expecting something more like that actually like leans into Bugs Bunny's pedigree as a cartoon character instead of just him being like, nope, I'm back."
Yeah.
You asked me to describe the beginning of the film for our viewers, but we jumped literally right to the end.
Yes. I mean, I think the plot in its broadest sense is exactly the same as the original Space Jam, isn't it?
Oh, with like,
More or less.
there's the whole. I would argue the entire middle of crossover with a billion Warner Brothers IP
Yeah.
takes up an awful lot of limelight.
That's yeah, I'll give to their credit, they've definitely got a beginning, a middle, and an end to this film.
Yeah,
um, I have to say the middle bit with all the Warner Brothers world hopping, probably the bit that I enjoyed the most, even though it's
yeah.
bizarre and insane. Um, and involves so we had a conversation prior to our recording where I was like, I will watch the movie before we do our recording. And you were like, I cannot wait for you to, you'll need time to process the world that Foghorn Leghorn is trapped in. And I made a joke at the time about him being trapped in obscure Warner Brothers animated movie, Quest for Camelot, as Foghorn Ruberhorn. um, and the reality was much more bizarre, weirdly, because Foghorn Leghorn is trapped in Game of Thrones worlds, which I didn't even realize Warner Brothers owned as a property.
I guess they own HBO.
They own HBO. I see. I thought there was some sort of. I thought HBO was a completely separate entity. So
Which
this
is,
was all
you
news
know
to
what
me.
oh my God, I'm sorry, you finish. I just had the best idea that I can't believe they didn't do.
So Foghorn Leghorn shows up in this film as they are dimension hopping, and he is dressed as Daenerys Targaryen, flying on a dragon through space, and he goes, I say, winter is coming. And then
Saying the wrong character's catchphrase.
Yep, very bizarre. He's in a full-on like Daenerys Targaryen wig and outfit. It's so weird.
The things he's probably seen if he's just going through canonical Game of Thrones. I say, give that back to Theon. What?
I say, the Lannisters send their regards, boy.
I have been to worse lunches than this, I say. Sneaking out the back of the Red Wedding. What I cannot believe they didn't do, though, if they own HBO, they should have put Daffy in Sopranos verse and made him one of the ducks Tony watches at the pool.
You know what? I was expecting some sort of Sopranos reference because I thought, well, they definitely own that one. That's something people might know.
If they
I was
put in,
kind of
like,
expecting something.
if they pick up Yosemite Sam from Casablanca, they should have had a Sopranos reference. Clearly, they're not. Oh
If
man,
James Gandolfini was still with us, I bet he would have insisted on appearing in Space Jam.
maybe if we scan one of the big crowd shots, we'd see AJ in one of his new metal shirts, just like looking like a tool, cheering for the basketball game.
Just got to Paulie Walnuts in the audience with some popcorn.
Oh.
Hey, what the fuck is this? Some sort of Space Jam? Hey, Ton, you hear what I tell him? I say, is it some sort of Space Jam? Yeah, I heard you.
Look at Christopher is just like filming the whole thing, like he's gonna make the film.
Hey, Chris, you know the Looney Tunes?
What if they went to Sopranos verse and Elmer Fudd was like getting therapy? So you try to catch the wabbit, and he just keeps running away from you. Like,
What else
um,
do we get? We get Granny and Speedy Gonzalez in Matrix World.
fine, I guess.
I always feel like Matrix references are the most dated reference you can possibly
I know.
make.
I think it was dated when Shrek did it.
I think it's because every film around that time did a Matrix thing
Uh-huh.
and some sort of spoof of like the bullet time acrobatics. So it just feels incredibly dated every time you see them these days. It's like you've
Yeah.
been doing that for 20 years. Um, but I guess it's probably one of the biggest Warner Brothers properties, I guess.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I've shown you a couple videos by Super Eye Patch Wolf, and he did like a shit post, like a joke, like a tongue-in-cheek script for Space Jam 2. And it was like the new Monstars of Warner Brothers' greatest villains. And he like rattles off Joaquin Phoenix's The Joker, The Matrix's Agent Smith, Heath Ledger's The Joker, Jared Leto's The Joker, Jack Nicholson's The Joker. Just Agent Smith with every Joker.
Highly implausible that they would have gotten Jack Nicholson's Joker as he charges an enormous amount of money for his likeness. Which
Oh yeah, that's right.
is why we've never had a Jack Nicholson Joker figure in any like modern toy lines.
That sucks. There's one of Bob even. I feel like I can.
Yes, they did a Jack Nicholson and a Barb the Goon action figure when the original movie came out. Um, but Jack Nicholson charges so much for his likeness to be put on merchandise due to a lucrative merchandising deal from Batman that he made, which gave him like 50% of all the merchandising profits.
He was smart about that. He knew that it would be like highly toyetic.
Yeah, I mean, he was a good deal. He could teach Scarlett Johansson a thing or two about movie deals.
uh, oh boy. um, Speaking of Joker, I think Joaquin Phoenix Joker is in the crowd. Did you see him?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was Cesar Romero Joker or Joaquin
It could have
Phoenix
been. They
Joker.
have, I guess, similar color schemes. It could have been either
Yeah,
one.
he was just
Mr.
sort of in the
Yeah,
background.
Mr. Freeze is definitely there too. A lot of the Burton villains
Yes.
are floating around in there.
And also DeVito Penguin and Burgess Meredith Penguin.
Yeah.
At one point, side by side, cheering.
Um, I like that. And on the subject of DC, we got a very DCAU-esque Metropolis that really made me smile. And
Oh, I loved the way that was animated. That's
yeah,
like that was a
it had
beautiful looking
it was
segment.
very Bruce Timm-esque. It was really
Yeah.
good. That's where they pick up Daffy and Porky, and Daffy's my favorite Looney Tune in my favorite Warner Brothers property. So that was like kind of fun.
Was Porky Pig dressed as Toyman in this? Did you think that?
I thought he was supposed to be Jimmy Olsen because he's filming Daffy.
Oh, that would make a lot more sense. I just saw like the little bow tie and his stature. Like
I could
it
see
made me
either
think
one.
of the Toyman from the DCAU.
I could really see that. I could see them doing that. Then Elmer and Sylvester are in Austin Powers.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
That was a little strange. Well, it's
Another
weird.
pretty dated reference.
Yeah, it's weird to me too because Austin Powers is a parody. So when you lampoon that, it's like a parody of a parody.
Yeah, it was a
So it's a little
strange
strange.
choice.
It's also just very strange to have because Elmer is mini me because he's bald. He walks out and Sylvester is Dr. Evil's cat. And there's something really strange to me about Elmer going Sylvester because they don't interact a lot. I don't think he'd be that startled. It's not like his close
Yeah.
friend he's startled to see.
The other thing that struck me as really weird about this was they just used stock footage. Like all the other segments are new stuff, and this is purely stock footage. And I just thought, like, surely you could have gotten Mike Myers, Mike Myers, not the Halloween villain. You could have gotten Mike Myers in to like play Dr. Evil again and do this as a new segment, which would have worked a bit better. He's like reprised the role a few times on Saturday Night Live, I think, over the years. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure if you'd contacted him and gone, can you do us like 5 minutes of new Dr. Evil material for Space Jam?
True.
He'd have been up for it.
Yeah. I wonder if it's a little bit to like, because it's a little unclear if like the Warner Brothers server worlds are just like the source of the thing on loop, like it's just the events of Austin Powers over and over, or if it's like the continued adventures occurring Austin
That's
Powers. I guess they'd want to preserve the continuity. I'm probably way overthinking it.
no, you may well be right. Yeah.
I really liked Roadrunner and Wile E in Mad Max Fury Road, though. I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was a more sort of current one.
Yeah,
We spend surprisingly little time with Harry Potter related stuff.
I, I, I almost wonder if that's because of the like if they had something scripted and like got rid of it, like oh we don't want to tug at the collar.
Maybe.
You know what?
Um,
Witch Hazel should have just been there.
oh yeah,
That would have been fun.
yeah. Is she in the movie at all? I don't remember seeing her.
I don't think so. Gossamer is, and we don't even see which Warner world we get him from.
Who is the big red carpet man?
That's Gossamer.
I had no idea who that character was.
He's in a lot of he's like a big old monster. He usually works for Witch Hazel or sometimes Marvin the Martian. He's usually there just to go "Rah, rah, rah, rah," and like yeah.
Oh, I really didn't remember him. I don't remember seeing any Looney Tunes cartoons with that character in. So when I saw him, I thought he was possibly a new one that they created
No, he's
in
been
recent.
around for a while.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I feel like there's like simultaneously a lot of too many Looney Tunes characters, but also kind of not enough because they have a very specific handful of like 12 or so
Hmm.
and no more besides that. Like if you were hoping for Henry Hawk or the mice from the announcer mice from the first movie, you're out of luck, pal. Which makes it feel it's a good idea to like put a cap on who you're using, but it also makes the Looney Tunes world that you visit feel a little bit like, okay, so where is everybody else? You know, like there's a lot of characters.
Yes, there's not really. I remember there was a big scene in the original Space Jam film where they're all in an auditorium and you kind of see everybody. I
Yeah,
don't think you really get that in this. It's pretty much the same characters who were in the basketball game at the end of the first movie that they focus on again, which I
yeah.
guess are
Like
the big iconic ones.
if you look at the group shots in Space Jam 1, you'll see Sam Sheepdog and the Dover Boys and all kinds of kind of fun deep cuts. Whereas in, yeah, you kind of, and you have the essential ones in this one if we're being real, but it's kind of a double edged sword because, like, I feel like Yosemite Sam and Elmer have like 2 lines apiece in
Yeah.
this big cast. Meanwhile, I'm still complaining that Looney Tunes are missing. So I guess it's just kind of the overstuffed movie in general that way.
Yeah. I was trying to think where else we went to. Oh, we see a lot of Wonder Woman in this movie.
Yeah. What did you think of Zendaya as Lola?
Oh, was
That's
that
where we find
Zendaya?
her. That's Zendaya, yeah.
I had no idea. I feel like maybe I knew this and I'd forgotten it because it does sound familiar now. I
Mhm.
thought she was good.
Yeah, I thought when she was doing the Amazon trials in Wonder Woman world, she
Mm.
had a lot of like emotive moments to really work with, and that's where she's at her best. That's where I was really impressed by her. Whereas they don't give I don't feel like she gets to do a ton more throughout the rest of the film.
No, she's like the sensible Looney Tune, I guess, isn't she? She's the
Mhm.
most grounded one.
Yeah.
Well, I thought they used her really well in this. I don't think they necessarily used her badly in the first film, but I think people just remember her because of she was weirdly sexualized.
Right.
Um, and she's much less so in this. I don't think at all, really.
No, yeah.
Although, like, for all those people who were like complaining that they'd really changed her look, I don't think they do. I
Not
think she looks
really,
pretty
no.
much exactly the same as she looked in the first one.
There's
Um,
there was a supposed there was like one viral tweet that really went around comparing the two designs, and the big deal was that they made her breasts smaller, but it was a like quickly found out that that person was using fan art for the comparison.
oh.
So it was kind of
um,
about nothing.
I mean, yeah, I thought that for all intents and purposes, it's the exact same design from the first film.
Hmm.
I wouldn't have noticed a difference if there hadn't been an online outcry,
Yeah,
and I wouldn't
there
even have
must
given it a
always
second
be.
thought. Yes, but no, I thought she was good in this. I honestly thought it was the original voice actress. I didn't even question that it was like a celebrity that they'd gotten in to voice the character.
Yeah. Was it Kat Susi in the first one?
I want to say yes.
And, okay, I was just confirming in my head.
I
Uh,
think it was, yeah.
yeah. And on the topic of bunnies in this movie, they do some kind of neat things with Bugs. I think he's kind of the MVP of the film. I really like the notion of a Bugs Bunny related story where he's sad because he's basically run out of people to bother. I think that's a smart way to approach his character.
Yes, I love how he's sort of a little bit unhinged when you first meet him, and he's replaced Porky Pig with a pile of pumpkins. um,
For context, Algae Rhythm, the Don Cheadle villain, basically sold the notion of sending all the other Looney Tunes to the other DC Warner Brothers worlds.
they were all the DC worlds for the most part.
Yeah, he sends them all to various Warner Brothers worlds. It's not really clear why he does this. Maybe it's the movie indicting again corporate synergy and crossovers while also making them. It's really not clear how Algae Rhythm sinisterly benefits from sending the characters to different worlds. But Bugs is very attached to his legacy as just a straight up cartoon character. And a bit I really like that almost seems a bit arbitrary, but I was able to connect it is when the basketball game's about to start and Algae Rhythm very personally turns all the Looney Tunes CGI, and Bugs in particular like detests the notion. He hates it. He just gets really upset about it. And when you connect it to his stubbornness of staying in Looney Tunes world, you get this image of Bugs who's like old fashioned and loves being a cartoon and hates the notion of having that taken away. So that's why without his friends, he's so forlorn. That's why he hates being turned CGI. We get this like very traditionalist side of the character we don't always see, but I think weirdly fits.
Yeah, that's a very good analysis, I think. I really enjoyed the moment where he was like absolutely horrified that they took away his traditional animated self. Like
Yeah,
that was the tipping point for him to get angry in the movie. I thought that was great.
I thought it was, and he looks good in the CGI. I think
They
he
all
has a good
do,
design.
yeah.
Yeah, Lola from certain angles looks a little weird, but in motion, like some production images, I was like, oh boy. But in motion, she actually works pretty well, even.
Yeah, some of them, I think the fur was kind of off-putting at first. I noticed that Bugs and Lola had like actual fur, which was weird at first.
Well, it's clear who they were putting money into because Bugs and Lola have each individual fiber
Yeah.
rendered, and then Sylvester is just kind of PS2 graphics.
Yes. Yeah, they definitely plunged most of the CG budget into the rabbit characters.
Ugh. The basketball game, I think, is pretty great.
It is, yeah. I'd say it's a much better like climax than the first film.
It's gonna sound backhanded. It's a genuine compliment. I've never been so certain I love something as a kid. Because like the way they implement the video games and the whole crowd of different cameos. And the
Mm.
Goon Squad in this one has pretty cool designs. I think I'm still nostalgically attached to the Monstars, but these are a pretty okay follow-up.
Yeah, they're all pretty decent, really, aren't they? I like how this one embraces just let the Looney Tunes do their thing to win the game.
Yeah.
And that's how they win. I thought that was much better than in the first film, where they just sort of what does yeah, oh Bugs Bunny pretends to give them some sort of steroids or
Steroids. Yeah.
something, and they go out there and they win with the power of good vibes. um,
Placebo.
Placebo, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a much better finale, I think.
I love I was yeah, like I was saying earlier, as hard as it like my big tear up about the movie was that I thought the Looney Tunes stuff was great and everything else that wasn't just kind of wasn't. But like I love when Gossamer like soaks up the water dude like a big
Yes.
sponge. I thought that was awesome. And Wiley gets a great moment with his big device of like just cloning basketballs to fucking
Yeah.
cheat and send 1,000 basketballs through the hoop.
And then himself.
Yeah. He gives this great wink. There's this great wink he gives to the camera that's in like every trailer, and it's they capture him really well, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't remember him and Roadrunner doing anything in the first movie. Was Roadrunner even in the first one?
They
I've
had
no
to have been,
memory
I
of
feel
it,
like.
but I can't
I
remember
think
them doing anything.
well, I think Roadrunner is a hard character to because I think realistically Roadrunner would just win any basketball game. So they have to like conveniently pretend he's not there.
That's maybe that's the maybe that's
But I
true.
think that's the
Yes.
thing.
Foghorn Leghorn is disposed of very quickly once
Oh,
again. Literally ejected from the movie.
oh boy. And then Tweety Bird. Every time Tweety Bird showed up in this movie, I forgot he was there.
Yeah, he's very superfluous to everything else that's going on.
In the 90s, when they made like the first Speech Jam, it was like Tweety and Taz were like the two biggest punchlines in Looney Tunes. And in this, they're like barely in it. You get the Rick and Morty moment that everyone lost their minds over, but that's about it really with Taz.
Were people annoyed at the Rick and Morty moment, or were they just happy that they showed up?
I think it was just like I think it was more disbelief than either annoyance or happiness.
Yes, you're
It's
probably
just such
right.
it's Justin Roiland just kind of being Rick and Morty for a moment, and they're in the art style and everything, and it kind of comes out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
Yeah. I guess that's a current reference. That's what you want. You don't want your
Yeah,
dated references. Um,
my
and they're
favorite reference.
animated.
Sorry.
They're animated, you know. I think like more animated characters were needed at the end because
Yeah,
you've got all those bunch of villains who seem to be standing in the crowds that are just a bunch of cosplayers.
yeah. It's like whenever
Essentially, you know, no disrespect to the cosplaying community, but you can tell they're not the actual people.
they're like
Like the
vaguely out of
very
focus, just enough so
yeah.
you can tell that's not Malcolm McDowell with the Droogs.
Yeah, and I'd forgotten Malcolm McDowell was there. You get I spotted Pennywise,
Yep.
the two penguins, the nun from the Conjuring universe, inexplicably, the mask,
Yeah, the mask was
um,
there. There
the
was
Wicked
one
Witch
that
and
like,
her head monkey from Wizard of Oz.
yeah,
The Night King, I kept seeing him show up. I can't think of anyone else now.
there was gosh, there was just one or two moments whenever someone was having dialogue on the basketball course, when it's Algae Rhythm talking to Dom or something, they always left just enough space for someone to be doing like cheering, like just distractingly enough to be like, and also here's,
Yeah.
and they're always having like a serious conversation, and then but someone they gotta be like, okay, but we do have Joker or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
and they're always very obviously cheering and like turning to another member of the crowd and saying something.
it's almost a little weird how like Algae Rhythm has set up this basketball game where if the Toon Squad loses, the Looney Tunes all die, and all the human people sucked into the game are trapped there forever. But like Fred Flintstone and Yogi are still just like cheering indiscriminately. They don't care. They
I
don't really
forgot
know what's
those two
going
were around.
on.
Did I remember Fred Flintstone making a very obvious cameo, and I was surprised he didn't come back later on.
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah.
Who else was there was like one shot of all the animated like Hanna-Barbera people. Oh, I
Uh,
saw the Mystery Machine showed up for a split
Mystery
second.
Machine. Yogi was there. He's like holding up Boo Boo so he can see the game. I thought that was kind of cute.
Oh yeah, I spotted that.
The Animaniacs are there too.
Oh, I missed them.
Yeah, they're kind of hard to catch, but they're in there.
Hmm.
I think those are all the big ones. I like King Kong gets kind of a spotlight too because
Oh
he's like
yeah.
taking up 50 seats, and Don Cheadle goes. I thought so when I was watching. There's a moment where Don Cheadle references Training Day and says King Kong's got nothing on me, and it makes Kong like pout. It
Yeah.
was close enough to the end of the film that that's how I thought they were gonna kill him. Is that he'd say that and King Kong would like eat him or something. I was half
That would have been
expecting that
great.
to happen.
I'm surprised they didn't use Godzilla.
Oh well, Warner, I don't think technically owns Godzilla.
Oh, is it? What's the
Toho.
Toho?
Yeah.
Maybe Toho just didn't want him in Space Jam. Maybe they asked and they were like, no.
Yeah. And well, it's always kind of a rights dispute because Hanna-Barbera made a Godzilla cartoon with Godzuki.
Well, of
Probably
course.
could have pulled a string with that.
Maybe put Godzuki in. Well, we'll show you. We'll put Godzuki in the movie. Okay, you do that.
um, man, what else about this? We haven't even recapped the plot. I think people get the idea.
Yeah, you just need to know there's a basketball game.
Yeah. And then Bugs dies. But comes back as we covered. Yeah, whenever I do something like that, there'll be so many times where I'll be like, "Oh, I felt really mixed on this movie." Then I do something like this with a friend, and I sound like I really enjoyed it. The live action stuff really does kind of drag it down. It feels like a Nickelodeon soap opera, honestly.
It goes on for a while, with no Wayne Knight to propel it forwards. You get Sarah Silverman. That's the best you can. Sarah Silverman with 10 seconds of screen time as a corporate executive in the most pointless piece of casting ever.
I know, because she in the movie Pop Star, I find really funny. She plays a really funny, similar like manager character, but in this, all she says is like, "Ooh, a new idea from the algorithm," which a very normal thing to say. Like
she has like 3 lines, and they're all like business speak. She doesn't really make any jokes.
It wouldn't surprise me if there was like maybe some cut content of her like actually being Sarah Silverman.
Yeah, that sounds very likely. It's weird that they paid for her to come in and do that. So there must be something they gave her to do that wasn't that. Maybe she was due to return at the end of the film or something, and it got cut.
Yeah. Was there like one other comedy face who was like at the board meeting? Who I feel like there was like a guy who was kind of playing opposite.
I have no memory of it.
I'm gonna double check. Like I feel like it was like someone to the effect of like a David Cross or something. Cast.
They should have just put Bill Murray in there again.
Yeah. Bill Murray. I guess not. Okay, maybe I must have just made it up in my head. All right.
Did you find it strange that they make fleeting references to the original movie, but they never fully acknowledge it? They're like, been there, done that, where they're talking about the basketball game. And I suppose there is a very like obvious call out where they think they found Michael Jordan.
I like that one.
Probably the funniest joke in the movie. It's Michael Jordan, and I genuinely thought it was going to be him. And then they're like, "That's Michael B. Jordan, the actor."
That was pretty great. I think that again, this is me way overthinking, and I'm probably just being a snob because in preparation for this, I've been rewatching a lot of old Looney Tunes. A lot of it's on HBO, albeit not super conveniently. And what I think it is it's almost a play on the loose continuity of Looney Tunes in itself. How like sometimes you'll have characters just straight up die, or like in this one, Daffy does this job, in this one he's in an apartment, this one he's a farm, this one he's just a duck. And they just kind of don't connect the Looney Tunes short into a direct continuity. I almost wonder if it's just like playing on that, like, oh, we don't necessarily remember everything we do. Our life just kind of changes every day.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't think there should be any like a necessary flashback or something to the first one.
There's a kind of bizarre cameo from the Nerdluck / Monstars.
Really?
Do you remember that?
When was that?
Oh my gosh, you missed it. And I don't blame you because it's for a split second. When the Toon Squad definitively wins, you just cut to, and I don't think you see them before, you just cut to the Nerdlucks looking sad about them winning.
Oh, I completely missed that.
I don't blame you. And it's like, it's kind of weird because they never establish, I would almost expect that you get a shot of them getting into the audience, and maybe Daffy's like, hey, it's the aliens from last time, and they like acknowledge that they're there to see them lose, but you just cut to them out of completely nowhere. It's a little bit strange.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
I'll have to have a look back through it again and see if I can spot them. But that must have been very blink and you'll miss it. I must have just looked away for a second. No, Mr. Swackhammer.
Yeah, he died for real. I don't know. He wasn't as lucky. I think that kind of sums up a lot of like our, because I feel like a lot of this has been like us realizing something because the seeds were there, but it wasn't well established. So that kind of leads me to the conclusion that they were trying to do way too much with this movie, which is 2 hours, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to live in a world where Space Jam 2 is a full almost 120 minutes.
Yeah, you could have trimmed a bit here and there, I think, particularly from the start of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could argue that's all character development, but I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm not interested in LeBron James and his family.
We're there for the thin overlap of Looney Tunes, Casablanca, and Rick and Morty enthusiasts.
Is LeBron James actually married to Sonequa Martin Green, who plays his wife?
I don't know. I think his whole family are just actors playing facsimiles.
I see. I thought it would be a massive coincidence if like she was actually married to him and she was like, I can just play myself.
That'd be kind of fun.
And I thought maybe that was the case.
That'd be kind of fun. I think I'd be a little weirded out if it's like, here's your family, and it's like they're stunt doubles.
Yeah. Because she's a strange addition to the film as well. Like she just sort of stands there and gives some moral support.
Yeah.
She's kind of superfluous. She's the Bill Murray of this movie. There's no reason for her to be there. She is anyway, and she's not offensive, but you don't need her.
Basically.
I wish they had put like Wayne Knight back in the movie in some form. Like he just shows up in the audience or something.
Well, like, and am I losing my mind?
Was he
I'm confusing. I'm confusing a bunch of things. Well, because Warner Brothers has Ghostbusters, don't they? Or am I confusing something?
I think you're right. Yeah, I think they do have Ghostbusters.
Because maybe I'm confused, because I know Ghostbusters Afterlife is being delayed like 50 times. And I wonder if I'm just confusing movies, because Warner Brothers made the deal to put all of their delayed movies on HBO Max. I wonder if I'm just confusing movies that are delayed in general with Warner Brothers delayed films. But I almost want to say Ghostbusters was among that line. No, sorry, they're Sony. They're Sony.
Oh, okay.
They were because I was thinking of movies that are grouped together for delays, and that one was grouped with like Morbius and Venom and stuff.
Okay. It feels like it might have been a Warner Brothers property, although I suppose Warner Brothers would have made more Ghostbusters movies probably if they
definitely. And I mean, we did recently watch Cartoon All Stars to the Rescue, where Slimer and Bugs Bunny share screen time, so maybe it's
this is the most ambitious cartoon crossover since Cartoon All Stars to the Rescue. And I say that in all seriousness.
And the line, "What's up, Doc, is your life," is equally applicable.
Yes. Have there been any other like big cartoon crossover things like this since Space Jam?
So do you mean for Warner Brothers or like in general?
Just in general. I'm trying to think of some other, I guess the only thing I can think of that's similar to this is Ready Player One, which had all the big characters show up for the final battle.
Bad movie.
I can't really think of. The Batman Lego movie kind of did. With all those villains.
We didn't. There's that Nicktoons Smash Brothers game that's coming out.
Oh yeah.
We didn't mention the Gremlins were in this movie too.
Oh yeah. When the Gremlins came on, I went, Gremlins, very excitedly. Like I was genuinely happy to see the Gremlins. I liked that.
That was fun.
It was the first new Stripe content since the 80s. So, that's nothing to be scoffed at.
They really like their villains in this movie. I feel like they pulled a lot of bad guys for the crowd.
They did. I only saw bad guys in the crowd.
Maybe it kind of goes with that notion that what I brought up earlier is that it is kind of a malicious basketball game, so it's mostly filled with a bunch of bad guys that would want to see that.
Yeah, I guess so.
I can't really explain Yogi and Fred Flintstone, but
I think there should have been more animated bad guys, though.
yeah. Oh, I'd love to. I feel now that you mention it, I feel like there's like a brief glimpse of Muttley with probably Dick Dastardly.
I do not remember that, but it would not surprise me.
I feel like there's like, like just a quick little shot, but also Muttley's design is one of those that gets recycled in a lot of Hanna-Barbera cartoons, so it could be any of his weird facsimiles.
Well, when he's escaped from hell, we'll ask him.
There is a big Scoob poster when they go to Warner Brothers Studio too.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, when in the live action part, there's just a big old Scoob poster. Like they should be proud of it, but they shouldn't.
When's Scoob 2 coming out?
I hate that. That's not a joke.
It's a genuine question. Are they making a Scoob 2?
Scoob 2. I googled Scoob 2 and it autocorrected to Scoob SCOUB 2, which is a 2003 short film.
I see.
Scoob 2. Let's see. Here's an article about it. Let's see. Okay, Scoob 2 hasn't actually been announced yet. I think we've all just gravely accepted that's going to happen.
I see. Scoob 2, Dick Dastardly Goes to Hell.
Yeah. On the subject of Hanna-Barbera stuff, there's a new cartoon on HBO I started watching today called Jellystone. And it's the guy who made Chowder, which is one of my favorite cartoons, handling the Hanna-Barbera characters like Yogi and Snagglepuss and Jabberjaw. And he makes it just completely unhinged, and it's really fucking funny.
I see.
Yeah. The first episode is Yogi eating everybody.
Oh, okay. That took a turn.
Yeah. Watch Jellystone. So yeah, despite everything, I think Space Jam 2 is I gave it like a 6 out of 10 on my Letterboxd. I think it's like just okay because like all the bullshit just kind of stomps out the fun stuff, even though the fun stuff I can talk to at length for a long time.
I think that's a pretty reasonable view on this film. I'd say, yeah, 6 out of 10 is probably the rating I would give it as well. I enjoyed it more than I expected to. And I think it's mostly better than the first one.
I'm having a hard time.
It's not saying much.
I feel like Space Jam 1 is maybe a little more focused to its benefit. Like, there's not so much shit going on and it's like only hour and a half long.
I think Space Jam 1 is more focused to its detriments.
Don't say.
I think focusing more on Michael Jordan's arc throughout that movie is just very dull. And I feel like this one doesn't so much. This one more embraces the pure insanity.
True. I do have to give
and
it
I
points
feel
for
like on the basis of the final basketball game alone, I think I'm going to give it to this movie.
I would much rather watch this final basketball movie than Space Jam 1's.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly no worse. It's as good as the first one. It is on the same level as the third movie.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of nostalgia.
There's no massive difference in quality.
Yeah, that'll do it. Play us out, Notorious P.I.G.
That's the worst bit of the film.
Yeah. Happens for no reason.
Is this what the Notorious B.I.G. died for?
Oh. I'm surprised. Was Hologram Tupac a Warner Brothers character?
Hologram Tupac. Don't give them ideas. That would be the next Space Jam.
All right. On that note, good night, everybody.
I'll be back for Space Jam 3 in 20 years' time.
All righty.